Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Erin James, channel that brings you your team every single day, guys. Please smash the sub. Well, we've got a bit on a winger, stroke forward, stroke other side winger as well, who Rangers apparently are back in for. Bit of a Malian international going on with this one. We'll look at that. We'll also look at the stadium debacle as well, where we're up to with that. Why the way the board are behaving at this moment in time in regards to the fans and keeping the fans in the loop is absolutely disgusting and disgraceful. We've got a little bit of obviously camp news as well. We'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll talk a little bit about obviously what's going on with some of our players. Well, let's start off with the good news. Well, let's say more positive news, shall we? I mean, there's obviously nothing confirmed as yet. This is merely reports in a number of media outlets are saying this. So, look, we can't take it as gospel. It's not, like any of these links, like any of these transfer speculations, that's all it is at the end of the day. Until the player stands at Ibrox or at Ockenhowie with the scarf above his head, wearing the shirt, we can't guarantee anything, can we? That's the issue. So who are we on about today? Who is the player that is in question? It is Adama Traore. Now, you may remember him from earlier. Rangers have previously been linked with a move for the Malian international Adama Traore, not the one who used to play for Wolves, not that one, not that big, massive, huge, tank of a guy, not him, a different Adama Traore. Traore seems to be a very, very common name, doesn't it, in Africa? There seems to be a lot of Traores hanging around, like the Jimmy Traore, the other Adama Traore, just to name but a couple. Now, what do we know about Adama Traore? We know he's 29 years old, so he's a player who, if Rangers were to sign him, would be a player that they'd want to see come straight in, hit the ground running, be ready for first-team football straight away, and be ready to go pretty much straight away. Now, he's done it in Hungary with Ferencváros, been a very successful part of their winning ways. He's played in the Champions League qualifiers for Ferencváros, so he's got European experience. He certainly is that player that has a whole wealth of talent and a whole wealth of background to him that would stand him in good stead coming to Rangers. Now, this is the latest, obviously, in this return, it seems, to this pre-July target. Now, he was, I think, linked back in January, and he was also linked at the start of the window again as well. Now, he is an exceptionally flexible player. He can play all along the front lines. He can play on the right, on the left, and he can play as a centre forward. Interesting indeed. Last season for Ferencváros, he had 14 goals and 5 assists. That's 19 goal contributions in total. In terms of who he is, well, he was born on June the 5th, and he is 29 years old. He was born in Bamako in Mali. He's 1.78 meters tall, which is just slightly under 6 foot. He is a left-footed right winger. So another player who likes to cut in off the right and cause trouble. He is under contract until June next year, so that's 2025, which, of course, with the fact that he only has 12 months on his deal, will certainly limit and reduce the price a little bit. Any player, we know that is going into the final 12 months of their deal, it doesn't really, for their parent club, carry a lot of bargaining power, because most clubs know that, give it a year and he's probably going to walk for nothing. So, look, the fee, I don't think, would be massive for this player. Wages obviously could be a bit of an issue. Where we're up to in terms of spending money, I genuinely don't know. I mean, I'm guessing at the fact that it seems, from what I'm reading, what I'm hearing, is that we do need to sell before we buy. There is an awful lot of deadwood that does need clearing out of this club, but we know that, we recognise that. Going forward. But Adama Traore certainly seems a very interesting player. In terms of his career statistics, he's played for Ferencváros, before that with FC Sheriff, before that with Mazembe, then Al Adala, then US Orléans and Metz in France. I mean, if we go back to his most recent footballing experiences, I mean, his record with Ferencváros is very, very good indeed. He's played 73 times for them, scoring 32 goals and having 16 assists. That's 48 goal contributions in 73 games, better than 1 in 2. At FC Sheriff, he made 61 appearances, scoring 25 goals and with 16 assists. That's again 41, again better than 1 in 2. So it certainly seems, since these moves to Sheriff and to Ferencváros, Adama Traore has really taken off as a player, you know, really contributing in terms of those goal contributions, in terms of scoring goals, and in terms of assisting others. Now, one of the slight worries, slight concerns, you know, is the fact that Fenerbahce, that's right, Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce, are currently interested in Adama Traore as well. Fenerbahce, obviously, could be one of our Champions League opponents. Very ambitious team, you know, a team that signed Ryan Kent last season. Looks like he's on his way out. A team that has very high aspirations, obviously, given the signing of Mourinho, even higher aspirations. So, look, this could be, you know, a competition that we possibly can't win. You know, I think Fenerbahce would probably have more money than us. The Turkish teams do seem to be able to splash a bit of cash. But sometimes that's unreliable. Sometimes players don't get what they deserve in Turkey. So I think, you know, that could be perhaps a deciding factor. You know, that Rangers can offer a more stable background than some of the Turkish clubs. But it's certainly an interesting battle. Certainly one we're going to keep our eye on. I think, you know, Adama Traore will be a sort of player that, again, that would come in, hit the ground running from day one. We would look to him to have an instant impact playing anywhere along the front of that front three for Rangers. Okay, we'll get to the stadium debacle in a minute, but before we do that, a player who is pretty much on his way out is Sam Lammers. Now, we brought you news the other day that Utrecht had pulled out of the running to sign Sam Lammers because they can't afford him. They can't afford his wages, and the fee that Rangers apparently want for the player is too excessive for Utrecht's liking. Now, we heard that AZ Alkmaar were interested in Sam Lammers. You know, again, that's a strong positive there. But, however, Sam Lammers did not, even though he is back with Rangers now, did not fly out to Holland with the rest of the first team squad. He remained to train with the B team and possibly even have some minutes with the B team. It seems really that he is 110% out of favour, and it is a case of now wanting to get him out of the club and move him on and hopefully make back the money that we spent on him. Now, I think one thing about that, though, is the fact we spent 3 million on him. He's then gone to Holland. He's gone to Utrecht, an fashionable club, you know, not one of Holland's top clubs. And he's really impressed. I think it's 11 goals in 20 appearances for him, a number of assists too. You know, he's the sort of player who I honestly think that, you know, if we were trying to buy him from a Feyenoord or trying to buy him from an Alkmaar or Twente or a PSV, you'd be looking at 6-7 million. Given the number of goals he scored. I think we really should be holding out for more than just breaking even on Sam Lammers. I think just breaking even on Sam Lammers would be absolutely criminal. So, look, I think that is definitely the case. But it is, you know, that he is now not with the first team. He is training with the B team. You know, it really does seem that he is being pushed to one side. It's a shame that Philippe Clement has not done that with one or two other players that could have been well left at home, put into the B team and basically be told, you've got no future at the club, get yourself a club and get yourself out quick. That does seem to be the approach with the Lammers, whereas some of the other players that, like I said, that this could do with being done to are away with the club in Holland. Right, let's move along to the stadium debacle. Now, according to reports that came in last night, Saturday night, Rangers are still, not Saturday night, Monday night even. Sorry, I've got confused what day it was there. Monday night. Rangers are still in talks, and there are still a number of obstacles to overcome as regards using the National Stadium to play Rangers games. Now, it emerges that there is a report. Again, we don't know how true. Why do we not know how true it is? Because Rangers, again, are running an amateur hour, are looking like an absolute shower. Again, no one from the board has come out and spoken to the fans. No one from the board has come out and told us exactly what is going on. No one from the board has explained to season ticket holders how this will affect them. No one from the board has talked about compensation for season ticket holders that don't want to go to Hampden or don't want to go to Murrayfield. You know, it's just awful. I'll be absolutely honest with you. It is an absolute shambles. And, you know, when you read comments by John Bennett basically blaming James Bisgrove for this and the project manager, I think it's utterly ludicrous. And John Bennett is just having an absolute laugh. I mean, if he thinks he can pull the wool over our eyes by making these statements, he's having not even these statements, these sound bites to the media, he's having an absolute laugh. At the end of the day, John Bennett oversees the club. He is the chairman of the club. He is responsible for everything to do with the club. That includes the redevelopment on the Copeland Road. He has obviously failed to, deliver this project. He has failed to check up on people that he has entrusted this project to. He has failed to stay in touch with the fans. He has failed to find another stadium. He has failed to actually apologise to the fans. And the more I think about it, the more I think about the fact that we will be away for Ibrox until possibly October now, just makes me so angry. I mean, it is a farce. It is absolute amateur hour. Absolute amateur hour from the club. I mean, they couldn't run a bath. I mean, John Bennett, Park Jr., all that lot, they just genuinely could not even run a bath. I mean, they just are an absolute shambles. They're turning our club into an absolute laughingstock. The steel jokes, the stadium jokes, the missing this, the missing that jokes, the Barbie doll jokes, all those other jokes to do with us. The board are partly responsible for that. And, the fact that we're going to miss a whole load of home games. Now, if we don't go back to Ibrox till October, that means that both the UEFA Champions League qualifiers at home, hopefully, possibly, will be played away from Ibrox, either at Hampden Park or Murrayfield. Now, I know our fans, wherever they travel, make a noise, but there's something special about Ibrox. There's something quite animal, quite beast, quite in your face, quite just out there about Ibrox that brings a 12th and 13th man to some extent to Rangers when they're playing some of these European teams. So I think losing Ibrox for these two qualifiers against what are probably going to be two very good teams. I mean, if we get through obviously to the playoff round, well, we need every advantage we can get against some of these teams. Not being able to play at Ibrox is worrying. Now, playing at the National Stadium, people talk about, well, it's just the National Stadium, but Arsenal, I remember, played in the Champions League at Wembley 2 seasons in a row to be able to. This was before the Emirates when they were at Highbury, because they felt they would bring in more finances. During that time, they played 6. They won 2, they lost 3, and they drew 1. They were very, very unsuccessful during that period. And you couldn't help but feel that other teams were kind of inspired by going to a national stadium. And I'm not saying for a minute that Hampden is in the same conversation as Wembley. I mean, Wembley's iconic. But look, it is just, again, another joke from this board, another absolute joke. It's worrying, the fact we can't even trust them to redevelop the stadium. What trust have we got in them to help rebuild the team if they can't rebuild a stadium or not even rebuild a stadium, improve one stand? I mean, why this work was allowed to go ahead without the raw materials all been in place, God only knows. Why this work was allowed to go ahead when there was a danger of it overrunning, God only knows. It just shows that the board, the people behind this, are an absolute joke. I mean, you look at this and you look at the games we're going to miss. We're going to miss at Ibrox, Motherwell at home, which was a tough game last season. We lost it, the last one. Ross County at home again, and Hibs at home. Now, that's obviously if we come back in October. Now, if for some reason the ground is not ready, and apparently people who have been to Ibrox are absolutely shocked at how bad it is at the moment, how unfinished it looks. We'd also miss St Johnstone and St Mirren as well. I mean, so that could actually leave a situation where we've played 5 of our home games away from home, which, look, playing at Murrayfield and playing at Hampden is effectively playing away from home. So, look, that's the way it is. It's just a bit of a joke. And again, this board are responsible for this absolute farce. Now, what makes me really angry is that there's all this debate and discussion and just genuine worry and uncertainty for the fans as to where they will be at the start of the season, where they're going to go and watch Rangers play. Season ticket holders who spent absolute fortunes, who've given the club an absolute fortune, are finding out absolutely nothing. They're being treated like mushrooms, kept in the dark and fed shit. And now for John Bennett to sit in his ivory tower and talk about it all being James Bisgrove's fault, and going back to the comments that he made about Bexley in class, which just looks a joke now, him to not come out and speak to the fans and actually address the fans is disgusting, is absolutely disgusting. I mean, have you heard one single word of apology from John Bennett for this absolute shambles? You know, the fact that some of our fans are going to be disadvantaged, not be able to travel, or, you know, not be able to attend games. You know, the fact that our fans, some of our fans will lose out on their season ticket, you know, for some of these home games. You know, where's the compensation as well for these people? You know, again, this is going to cost Rangers an arm and a leg, renting the National Stadium, paying compensation, possibly paying back ticket money. It just shows that this board are utterly amateur. They are utterly amateur. You know, you look around the EPL and you see the boards there run by professionals, run by businessmen, run by people who know what they're doing, that make their club look like a first-rate elite European club, which is what we should be. Yet this board make us look like a dog and duck. They really genuinely do. Like I said, my biggest anger, though, is the fact that at no point has John Bennett, and it has to be John Bennett, no underling of his, no, you know, press officer or deputy press officer. It needs to be John Bennett. He needs to sit down. He needs to tell the fans what is happening. Now, if we haven't got anywhere to play, he needs to tell us this. And he needs to apologise. He needs to absolutely sit there and, with sincerity, and I mean with sincerity, apologise to the fans for the absolute joke that he is currently running at this moment in time. Like I said, angry is not quite the word that summarises this. Well, guys, let me know what your thoughts are on the stories we've covered in today's video. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. Okay, I'm going to head off now. I always record this the night before. I'm absolutely shattered after work. Thanks for watching, guys. Please, on the way out, hit that like. And remember always, we are the people.